Ooh,
The woman.
look who's
The woman.
here.
You look so pretty.
Yeah,
As
a little
usual. How are
something, something.
you?
I'm good. How are you? Now, see, I said I'm gonna be on my best behavior with you because
Why?
I don't want no
Why? Why
problems.
you need to be on your best behavior with me? Well,
First
what
of all,
is
you know
that?
I'm lying. Look, you know I'm lying, honey. How have you been, Miss Keisha?
I've been absolutely super fantastic. What about you?
I have been good. No complaints at all. Let me tell you, I'm so glad, first of all, to even be alive. Let me tell you
How
something.
about that?
Coming through COVID and everything else, I'm like, after this, everything is gravy, right?
I know, right?
It's been
It just gives
crazy.
you a completely different perspective on life.
I know. I
Yeah,
I want to first of all say thank you for joining me.
of
I
course.
have been wanting to talk to you for a long time. I knew when I started doing this woman to woman series, it started out just for the month of March in celebration of Women's History Month, right? And I thought, a lot of the women that we celebrate, I ain't never met. Some of them
How
are
about that?
gone to glory. Some of them, are just way above
Right,
me. I said, but you know what
right.
I want to do? I want to have conversations that women whose path I have crossed during my work, during my life, people that I don't know, maybe I want to know, or people that I want to get to know better.
Mm.
And you were on my list, and you were on
How
my
about
list
that?
as someone that I would like to know better. You and I spoke way back when, October 2021, I think it was,
Yep.
when you had released your book. And I said, well, I got to know about these principles. I got to know about these principles because I get it. The whole author, speaker, certified life coach, all of those things are wonderful. But I felt like sometimes we get so caught up in the titles of things that we just don't actually have a conversation with the person. Because a
Come
title is
on
a
now.
title. It's a bra, honey. We take it
Absolutely.
off sometimes so we can be more
Absolutely.
comfortable.
There you go. It's a hat.
So I wanted to say, first of all, that when I first met you, because I met you through a friend that I consider a
Yeah.
sister. And
Yeah,
I
Takia.
knew when she said, you got to talk to my girl Keisha. I said, now, if you tell me that, I know I got to talk to your girl Keisha. She got to be the shit. See, there I go.
All right.
Already,
Listen.
already, already. I'm,
I
I'm
like
trying,
it.
I'm going to try
I
not to
like
cut
it.
loose. I'm trying not to cut loose.
I want you to cut loose.
Yeah, I will. I was just, trying to be
Listen,
right.
there's a quote, and I love it. It says, well behaved women rarely make history.
Rarely make history. Eleanor Roosevelt, I
Right?
think, said that,
There
wasn't
you
it?
go.
I know.
Yes, well behaved women
Well,
rarely
and
make
I am
history.
not
So
that.
we're not trying to be behaved.
Look, I am not that. I am not that. And I'm going to come back to that. But I wanted to say that um, she was right. She was right about you. And I wanted an opportunity to tell you that to your face. Because I know when we spoke before, it was because you had your book and, we were
Hmm.
really promoting that hard. And I kept saying, I really want to stay in contact with her because I love the energy. I love the positive nature that you have, but also you just seem like a really cool chick. And I was like, it's not often, in your life, especially older, that
Yeah.
and older as in to me over 30, like over 30
Yeah.
everything starts getting weird, and you
Yeah.
don't really know. And I said, as you get older as a woman, it's so hard to meet people who are on your same frequency, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you were one of those
Yeah.
people for out the gate. You was like, yo, what's up? I was like, oh, I like her, what's going on? So I was like, let me
I don't
let
know
me get her
any
on.
other way.
You
I
know,
don't
I
know
said, let me
any
get her on here
other
so I can give
way.
her her flowers,
I
So
appreciate
I
that.
thank you for that. And that is why you're here. It's just a very loose conversation about life, about some of them principles you were talking about. And you're right. It is true that well behaved women seldom
Hmm.
make history.
Hmm.
Have you always been well behaved? I know the
There was
answer
a
is no.
time. No, no,
I
it's not.
know
It's
the
not.
answer is no.
No, it's not, girl. There was a time where I was so behaved. Listen, I was caught up. My husband and I call it the haze. It was my
Mm,
haze years, right? Um, and it had a lot to do with me being in church. See, the thing about me, though, Jasmine, was I grew up in the street. That's all I knew. I knew street. I knew the drug life as far as my daddy selling drugs. I knew about my mama's doing drugs. I knew that life. And so all of a sudden, my father gets out of prison and he takes us into this church which was just completely opposite of who we were, how
Mm.
we lived, how we showed up. So I thought I had to be this well behaved person,
Yeah.
right? But you know, what's in you at some point comes out of you, and it just
Amen.
doesn't last.
Amen, honey. Amen.
It just doesn't last that long, Jasmine.
I
And I
know.
came from a mother who was raw. Do you hear me? She was raw. The church folk couldn't handle Sherry Ann Eichelberger. Hey, good. All of her names.
I'm about to say
They
if she
couldn't
got that
handle
many
her.
names, I can't handle it.
But she taught me. She taught me about being authentic and about being
Mm.
honest with yourself first.
Yeah.
She was always that, right? So it took me a minute. So yes, there was
But
a
I
moment where I was very well behaved.
but you know what? This is what I think. I think that for some reason, and it's the obvious, whether it's, patriarchy or anything else, we know that women have always been confined and constrained. And
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
never get the
Words that I don't like.
opportunity,
Yes,
yeah, to be our most magical selves. Because the truth of the
absolutely.
matter is, any good thing is made in mess.
Roses grow through dirt, don't they?
Let me tell you right
Don't
now,
they?
Keisha, honey, if I come to your house and it wasn't messy before Thanksgiving, I'm not eating. If you ain't got some shit that's all over the wall, I don't
Right,
want it.
right,
I
right,
ain't eating your
right,
mac and cheese.
right,
If it ain't powder and flour over the floor, I don't want your cake. I
right,
don't want it.
right.
Because I think it is true when they say beauty for ashes. I think you have to
Yeah,
have ashes first in order to have something beautiful. And I think
yeah,
sometimes when you're too prim and proper and buttoned up, you
yeah,
got to let that stuff hang
yeah.
out.
You gotta let that stuff go.
I think
You
that
gotta let
some
that
of
stuff
your
go.
best lessons are learned
Absolutely.
from mess. Now, wouldn't you agree?
Yes,
And what would you say
absolutely.
so far is the greatest lesson that you've learned?
Freedom.
Freedom.
I
Freedom.
mean that with all my heart. Freedom is the greatest lesson that I've learned. And what I've realized is that the choice belongs to the individual. No one gets
Mm.
to decide whether or not you're going to be free. That is your choice. It
Yeah.
is your decision.
And
And
that's
when I
free in every sense of the
realized that,
word, right? Like
I
in
mean,
terms
in
of laugh
every sense
loud,
of the word,
be
all of it.
be bright when you walk in the
Whoever
room.
you are in your beauty and your glory, whatever defines you. So if you're the soft spoken person who likes to be quiet and sit in the corner, if that is you, let that be freely you. If you're the one who lights up the
Mm.
room when you come in, let that freely be you. But
Yeah.
just knowing and having an awareness of yourself and being free from that point of view, that is the biggest lesson I've learned. Be free. I don't like being a slave. I don't like being I don't like being confined,
Yeah.
and I don't like being put in a prison, if you will.
Yeah.
I determine my limitless boundaries. Right.
It's
Um,
unfortunate though. I think a lot of people, men included,
mhm.
don't realize that they are not free. Right?
Yeah,
Because I think
that
a
is
lot of
so
people
true.
don't realize that they are bound either with generational habits, with, you know, I'm telling you, you can be in the cup, in the tea, in the
That's
sunken
right.
place and not really
That's right.
know it because
That's
you've
right. I
been there
like
for
that.
so long
That's right.
that it looks familiar and normal. And you don't
That's
realize,
right.
I didn't know I could fly this high. Well, baby, it's because you didn't
Yeah.
spread your wings.
You didn't. That's right. That's right.
It's
And
one
that,
of
you know,
those.
I tell people, Jasmine, though, that's why I show up. I really, really do. I like the mess. I
Yeah.
like the discomfort. You know, I like those things that's gonna push your buttons and push your limits. You know, give me that. Give me the person that's drunk. Give me the person that, just got off their back. Give me all
Yes,
of them. Give
yes.
me all of them.
Well, you know
That's who
what
I
though?
like.
I literally just said this to my assistant the other day. I said, I'm that kind of chick who likes the person you are when ain't nobody looking. Because that's really who you are.
Yeah.
And I like
Yeah.
that. You know how they say dance like nobody's watching. Okay, well,
Hmm.
however that is, I want her to show up. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? I
absolutely.
want to know who it is when ain't nobody in the house and it's just
Yep.
you. What are you doing and how are you behaving? I want to be
Yep.
friends with that person because I
Yeah.
think that is the most authentic person inside of each of us is who you are when
Yeah.
no one's looking.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about how we started this conversation is I met Takia because of my best friend. My best friend, her name was Jamila Muhammad, and she was in radio. But
Jam.
she, yeah, Jam. But Jam and I found a connection because it was difficult to find women in our space who
Mm,
just loved and supported each other in our rawness,
yeah.
right? And so we connected on that level because it was very rare. Honestly, if I'm being transparent, there were always women around me, but there was always this wall, if you will, of pretense.
Mm,
Let me button up,
yeah.
or act like, and it was just like, no, give me you. That's who I want to know because I'm gonna give you me, right? So,
Well,
um,
I think for a lot of people, they don't have the courage to do that because it's
I
a very
agree.
courageous thing to say, I'm going to let my slip hang. I
Hmm.
know it's showing, and you know what? I'm going to
I'm gonna
keep
pull it
dancing.
down so you can see it.
Yeah, I'm going to bend over. Don't bend over. Don't bend over.
I want to bend over.
Now, see, that's me. I'm the show out queen. When I was a little girl, my mama would always say, well, my grandmama would say she putting on shows. She putting on airs. Now, my mama would say she's showing out. But I
Uh-huh.
think what happens is when we're kids and we're
Hmm.
showing out, I think we are alchemists and we are
Yeah.
creating who we are and
Yes.
who we will be. And so
Yes.
to stop that, I
Yes.
think is it's a punishment. And I think
It
it's
is.
unfortunate that we do it so much that you turn into the buttoned up and I feel like I got to be this and that way. And you never get the opportunity to dance like no one is watching.
Yeah.
And so I think
Listen,
it's
my
important. Yeah, I think it's important that we pour into our children and even the young people around us to say, now, don't act a complete fool, but I'm going to let you act
right.
up a little bit because you need to know what that
Yeah.
freedom feels like, right?
That is my daughter Kendall all day long. And she
Kendall be
has the
showing
freedom
out.
to be her. Kendall shows out. Okay? Kendall shows out. And guess what? Her father and I are okay with it. Our favorite part of the movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? Tina Turner, is in the beginning when she's a little girl and she's in the church and
Yes.
she's singing in the choir. And the director is trying to, button her up and get her under control. And she just can't help herself,
Yeah.
right? To the point where she's pulled out by her ear. But honey, that is Kendall all
It's so
day
funny. And you
long.
saying that, that reminded me when we had that conversation in October of 2021. I said, I think me and Kendall might be spirit animals. Because I
Yeah,
remember when I was coming up, I always wanted to be the center of attention. It was
that is
a
Kendall.
it was a necessity for my spirit. And I
Mhm.
remember we'd have assembly. I don't even know if they do that anymore. I've been out of school so long, but they
They
used to have
do. They do.
assembly. And baby, the teacher, the principal, they all were at the ready because they were like, you know that little red, because that was my nickname growing up was red. Because they knew. And I knew they were watching for me. And so I would slither like a snake, sleeky, sleeky.
Yeah.
Man, I'd run up on the stage, grab the microphone, and it was a wrap. Now, first of all, I could not sing, but you couldn't tell me that, and I didn't
You
care.
couldn't tell you that,
Well,
right?
honey, the Jones girls, I just love the man. I was
Say you can
determined.
say.
Honey, I didn't care. And I would get into trouble. Now, you would think that would deter me for the next time, but it would not.
Mm-mm.
But let me tell you
Mm-mm.
something about me that I believe will be true for Kendall. And it's so good to know that you're feeding into that. Is it
Mm-hmm.
gave me that spirit of nothing can stop me. And I
Yeah.
am not afraid to be the brightest light in the
Yep.
room when everybody
Take
else is scared.
risk. That's right. Take the
You got to do
risk.
it. You have
Yep.
to.
Be a risk
Be a
taker.
risk taker. I think
Yes.
that's important. What's the
Yeah.
biggest risk that you've taken in your life? The biggest one. And the scariest. And the scary one.
I don't know if I would necessarily call it a risk, but the scariest for me, and it's going to probably sound simple to others, and that was a decision to actually get pregnant with Kendall. I
Hmm.
was older when I got pregnant with Kendall. They had told me, the doctors had told me that I wasn't going to be able to have any children. And,
What?
they wanted us to start looking into adoption, or foster care. And I had already been through a lot of surgeries and procedures. And to be honest with you, I think I just lost something, through those processes. And my light was just completely dimmed as far as children were concerned. And so I bought a dog, a beautiful little dog. And I humanized that dog. I dressed her up. She traveled with me everywhere I
So you were
went.
one of those
I mean,
kinds. You were one of
I was
those
one
kinds.
of them, right? And I was doing the training, Jasmine, and the fear that I felt was real. And this woman walked up to me in one of my trainings who knew nothing about me or my situation, and she said, "Are you trying to get pregnant?" And I immediately said no. And I felt all of that, right? I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not trying to get pregnant." And she said, "I think you are, and I want you to go see my doctor."
Oh man.
And I told Paul, I said, "This crazy woman walked up to me during my training, and but I don't know where she got this information from." Threw the card in the cabinet, and 6 months later, Paul, being patient with me, said, "I think we should go see that doctor." It was a scary time for me. I think I was afraid of that rejection. I think I was afraid of hope. I think
Mm,
I was afraid of the possibility that it wasn't going to happen. So that was probably one of the scariest times for me. Outside of that, um, we go through challenges in life. Would I consider it to necessarily be a risk? No.
yeah.
Scary at times, yes, but that was probably one of the most significant
It's funny because I feel
times.
like we live in such a society of criticism that
Mm-hmm.
it is frowned upon by a lot of people who think
Mm-hmm.
that there should be an age limit to when you get
Yeah.
pregnant. And I'm not even going to weigh in on it. I would like to know what you think. I mean, obviously, though you got pregnant late, did you have any thoughts about opinions about women having kids older? I read a story maybe a couple of days ago where a grandmother now has to take care of 12 children that were her daughter's children. Something happened to her daughter, and she died unexpectedly. And
Mm.
now the grandma, like she granny, got 12
Right.
kids to take care of. And a lot of people say that one of the reasons why they are so critical is because as you get older, you can't move as fast, you can't keep up with that baby, or who wants to be 80 years old, your kid graduating high school. Now, my thing is, baby, if it still work, use it.
That's where I am. That's where I am. that,
If that thing's still working and cooking
listen,
stuff,
listen.
go on and
Hop
put
in,
some.
do
Yes,
whatever.
but that's how
Right?
I
I,
feel.
I don't. I don't have an age limit. And to be honest with you, I am so happy that it happened this way. I
Mm,
was a different person at 20 than I was when I had Kindle. And I think the patience that I have, I think the wisdom that I have is way different. That's not knocking people who have children when they're younger. I'm just talking about me and my experience because my younger sister has five. Do you hear me? She has five children, not 12, but she does have five.
that's
But
a
God
lot.
knew I couldn't handle five. One is enough for Keisha, right? Um, but people's life paths are their life paths, and if you are able to have a child and you're able to birth, and that's something that you desire and something that you want, I say don't give up on that.
Yeah,
I believe that it's still possible. So for me, no, I don't have. I mean, how old was Janet? 50, 50 when she had her baby.
you sure
Come on through,
was.
Janet. Come on through.
I mean, full disclosure, her bank account was also sitting at 50, if you know what I
Listen,
mean.
now I also believe you shouldn't have more children than car windows, but that's a whole nother story, right?
Oh my
That's a
God.
whole
It's so
different
funny.
story.
Like, do you ever, when you think, speaking of Janet, I get mad when I see people criticize her looks and her life. Because for me, I don't give a damn what Janet does to her face or her body as long as she stick around. Because I feel like
Uh,
she's my peer. Like, I
yeah,
remember she was the first person who made me think um that you really can be in control as a woman, like that you really can take control of your narrative, what you want your life to look like, the decisions that you would make. And I enjoy watching her age gracefully and still
I do
do
too.
what she loves,
I do too. I
right?
do too. As a matter of fact, I'm going to her concert when she comes here. Yes, yes, and I will be right up front
Yeah.
with her doing all.
Well, wait a second now. Some of that stuff I can't do no more. Okay,
I
Janet.
have knees like Megan,
I
but
was
I
gonna
got some
say because
knees.
I tore my meniscus fooling around with New Edition. Don't you do what I did, Keisha? I'm still
I'm here pushing up
recuperating.
underneath. What is that? Did you see that? Who was it? I can't remember who the comedian was. He just had a show out on Netflix, and he was talking about the difference between older women and younger women. And he
Oh,
was
that
talking.
was
Who was it?
uh oh shoot, that was I
Who?
know what
What's
you're
his
talking
name?
about. Uh
Dion. I think it's
Dion
Dion.
Cole. Dion Cole.
Yes, yes. And he was talking about the girls dance, and I said that is so me.
I don't
You got to
care.
put a
You
put a chair
better.
up under it.
That's all you gotta do. As long as you can do this, baby, and pop them lips, you
Listen.
winning. You winning. I love it. And aging is a funny thing though. Are you
Yeah.
scared as you get older, or are you just
No.
enjoying every moment?
No, I am enjoying every moment, but I am also one who looks at death a lot different,
Hmm.
probably than others. I'm not afraid of it. Um, I embrace it.
What do you
I
think
have a
happens when you
relationship.
die? What do you think happens?
Well, for me, it depends on what you believe. I really do believe that with all my heart. I do believe that there is an afterlife. I do believe that what's most important about humans is not our body, but our spirit.
Mm.
And I believe that your spirit lives on. I am a Christian. I do believe that those who believe in Christ goes from life to life. I believe that with all my heart. And so for me, death is not something that I'm afraid of. I embrace it. And so the growing old for me reminds me of seeds. You brought that up earlier, but seeds, or maybe it was me that brought it up. See, that's getting older. But the seeds that are in the ground, right? In order for what's in it to come out of it, there has to be pressure, there has to be a breaking. And I look at our body as we get older as that pressure and as that breaking. It's a beautiful thing to me.
It is
It's
beautiful.
a beautiful
It
thing
is.
to
I mean,
behold.
it's scary every now and then when you realize you
Hmm.
can't bend down and pick something up and get back up as quickly as you used to.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
I think I mean, I don't know. I'm not mad at or scared of aging. I will say, full disclosure, I just recently got to the point where I could wrap my head around death and not be
Hmm.
frightened.
Yeah,
Like I think I still deal with that. And to be honest, I tend to have anxiety and panic attacks.
yeah.
And I know that comes from wanting to be in control and
Hmm.
feeling helpless. And if I'm in a situation that makes me feel that way, it will bring on a panic attack. And I know it
Sure.
stems from, just the fear of death. Because at the core of it for me is no one will be able to help me so that I can live. That's what's
Yeah,
going in my head. And so it's
yeah,
a constant battle with that for me. Is there anything that you
yeah.
battle with like that? Whether it is being concerned about, not eating right or being concerned about, I can't go like I used to, or like big concerts. I used to could go
Yeah.
to those things, and I mean like Coachella style, where you got to park and walk a mile and you're way out. Is there
Yeah.
anything that bothers you as you get older that used to not?
One of the things that I do every now and then, it gives me pause, is um, things like dementia or Alzheimer's.
Mm.
Because I've witnessed those sages, those women sages who have gone before me, and I've watched their life. And so, for example, my paternal grandmother, who was very vibrant, but in her older years, she relied on and needed assistance a lot.
Mm.
Oftentimes, that assistance came with her just being in a chair watching TV. And so
Oh,
I slowly watched her begin to deteriorate.
yeah.
I have another grandmother, my paternal grandmother, I mean, my maternal grandmother, who is still living, who has always been very active. She's always moved. She's always walked. She's always done things to stimulate her brain, and she's still going, right? Um, and so to watch my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, diminish in that way where she just didn't remember
Hmm.
anything, that gives me pause,
Yeah.
right?
It's a scary
Um,
thing. I think as you get older, you begin to think
yeah,
about things that you never thought about before.
yeah,
Like, oh, am I getting Alzheimer's? Because I can't remember
yeah.
what I came in the room for.
Yes,
It's like
right,
everything
right.
bothers you now that
Yeah,
used to not.
yeah.
What would you say is in the last, let's say, 5 years, your biggest aha moment? Like something just clicked for you, or something you was like, nah, I'll be damn. I realized. Like, what was your biggest aha moment in the past 5 years?
It's probably going to go a little bit beyond 5 years, but it has been a big aha moment, and it goes back to something I said earlier, and that was I no longer needed to ask people for permission to be me.
Mm,
That was an aha moment for me.
that's a
And let
good
me
one.
tell you what I mean by that was, 5 years ago, I was still a fully grown woman. But I was always in a space where I was working a job. I was up under someone, right? Someone was telling me, this is the time you had to be in the work. This is the time you have to leave to work. You had to ask permission to take vacation. And I remember going to my mentor, CEO, and saying to her, I can't do this. This is not where I want to be. I need to be the one who determines the pattern and the structure of my life. If I want to go on vacation, I want to be able to say, hey, I'll see y'all later, and not have to put in a slip that asks for permission to be able to do so.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling anxious about going to her with that conversation. And then she said to me, Keisha, don't go. I have a new position for you. I want you to be the CEO of this company, and you can do as you will. I said, well, now we're talking,
Now we're
right?
talking, baby.
Now we're talking. But just, being brave enough to be able to say what you want, to meet it, and then to go after it.
Yeah.
Don't dream about it, but to go after it. That was a big aha for me. That
That's a huge
Keisha
aha.
doesn't have to ask for permission to be grown.
Yeah. No, it's funny because it's interesting. You think about it in terms of when you grow from a child to a young adult into an adult. In your head, you're thinking, I no longer have to ask my mom if I can eat or if I can have a snack, or I no longer have to ask for permission to stay out past curfew. All of those
Sure.
things are like milestones in your life that you pass. But I
Mm-hmm.
think there's something that happens when you become an adult. It really is almost, until you take control and you find your freedom, it's almost like starting over again, because you are subjective to
Yeah.
someone saying you better be here at 8 o'clock and you can't
Exactly.
go, you can't have lunch. It's like asking, can I take a break
Right.
so I can go to the bathroom and
Right.
get a snack? Or,
Right.
can I have the day off or a weekend? So it
Yeah.
literally is kind of growing all over again. And I think you're right in having that aha moment of, I need my freedom. I said I want to
Mm-hmm.
step into adulthood. Here it is. But make no bones about it, baby. Adulting is hard.
It is.
What's the
It
hardest part for
is.
you? Because I can
When
tell you it's
you
a lot. It's
realize,
a lot for me. I can
right,
start. Look, I'm
right, right,
ready. You see
right.
me
What say?
leaning
Where you
forward
want to?
like I can start.
Where you want to begin? Where do you want to start? With that conversation. How much time
Adulting,
do we have?
girl,
Adulting
adulting
is
is
hard, though.
hard. And
It
how come nobody
is.
ever told us? I hope you tell Kendall, baby, adulting is hard. Okay, don't rush to get here. It's hard.
You know. Listen, you know what I realize is some things are better left unsaid until you experience it for
Oh,
yourself.
because she won't
You
believe you
you
right
know,
now. She won't.
right? Right now, mommy and daddy are they're taking care of everything. The other day was funny because Kendall, she's a giver, but she's very much also a receiver, right? And so she received a lot of money to her for her birthday.
Okay.
So doesn't matter. She still wants to spend mom and dad's money. So we're out and we're shopping, and she is filling this cart up. When we get to the cash register, and she says, "Okay, I want all of this." I said, "That is fantastic. I brought your wallet with me so we could pay for it all." And all of a sudden, she got real frugal.
I bet she did. Well,
So let
I
me
really
take
don't
this
need this.
out. How much is this? Let me take this out. But that's part of it. So when you think about adulting, there's that responsibility that comes, right? You realize you are responsible for yourself. And when I say responsible for yourself, I'm not just talking about the bills that are going to come your way. I mean, mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually, like you are responsible for you. And you have to have all of those wheels going at the same time. But that's the biggest thing about adulting. Who teaches us how to be aware and
Yeah.
how to be conscious of just us, Jasmine, right?
It's
Be
hard,
conscious of
girl.
yourself and what you're going through.
It is adulting. I mean, and I just like you just said, it is sometimes easier to just learn because I wouldn't have believed anything my mama
Mm-hmm.
told me about adulting. I wouldn't,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't that I thought she was lying. I just figured
Mm-hmm.
she old, she don't know. She just don't want me
Because
to
you're
have
living in the
fun.
bubble that you're
You're
living
living in
in.
that bubble. I want my bubble back. I
Give me
want
my
my bubble
bubble.
back, Keisha. It's hard, but it is also, if done right, even with the bumps and bruises, it can
It's
be a
beautiful.
wonderful ride. I mean,
Yeah,
there are things to learn from the bumps and bruises, but it's hard. I
absolutely.
think no one teaches you the difficulties on some days just to have the strength and the want to get out of
Yeah.
bed, right? Because
Yeah.
bills are waiting, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about the cute bill. I'm talking about
Right.
the bill,
The
right?
bills. That's right.
Yes, and it's very hard, and there are days, and I'm sure you must experience this, even though, and I've always been curious about this. How do you, as someone who coaches and teaches others the importance of principles of everyday living and also teaching them about how to manage their life, how then do you deal with life when it happens? Because we know it does. No matter, no matter who you are, life has something for you every day. It's a little gift, like, here you
Yes.
go, this is just for you. Keisha's got your name on it. What you gonna do with it?
Exactly. But that's the biggest. A person who coaches others, for me, coaching is not about showing up and giving someone advice. It is about showing you what's already in you and then helping you to pull that out of yourself. And you make decisions in terms of your path and how you go. I want to empower you in
Mm,
your decision making. But that being said, make no bones about it. You will experience life. I don't want anyone talking to me who has not experienced life, right? It's going to knock on your door. It's going to sleep in your bed. It's going to hide in your closet and it's going to come out. I mean, you're going to find life wherever
yeah.
you go. It's how you show up in life that
You
matters, you
know,
know?
I think I am reminded of something that someone said recently. An artist who said, I don't like and never have liked older women because they either have babies or a lot of baggage. And my first thought, I just skipped right over the baby thing. I was like, whatever, let's get to this baggage thing. Because my thing is, even as a dude, I want a dude who has some baggage because to me, having baggage teaches you how heavy you can carry, how heavy something needs to be in order for you to say, I can't carry this anymore. And you understand what that feels like when you down in your back. If you've never had
Listen,
baggage, I can't talk to you either. Right? Would
but
you agree
guess
with
what?
that?
We all have it though.
We do.
You bring one person to me, and if they say they don't, they are
They
lying, and
lying.
that is their
And that's their
baggage.
baggage. You better
Okay, they
preach.
are lying, and that is their baggage.
That's their baggage.
We all have baggage.
Hmm.
It's how you carry it, how you show up with it. That's what's important, right?
And
I know
might
I
I
keep talking
add,
about Kindle. Go ahead.
how you unpack it.
Yes,
How you unpack
yes,
that baggage. That's also equally
exactly.
as
What are the
important.
movies that you are making up in your head? Yeah. So going back to Kindle, Kendall, because she does like to be the center of attention, she's at that age where she's learning, so she can't handle it when she is not the center of attention. So I was dropping her off at school one day, and her little friend ran past her to another little friend, and Kendall felt like, oh, did you just pass me up, right? And she had a moment. I mean, a moment. Guess what? It's her baggage right now. So her and mommy had a conversation about what are you feeling in the moment, Kendall? What are the different ways you could respond to that? What was the movie that you made up in your head that made you think that this wasn't your friend or she didn't want to be your friend? And so she said, well, do you think I should ask her? I said, sure. Be brave enough to ask.
Yeah.
And before she could even do that, the little girl came over to Kendall and said, Kendall, what's wrong? Are you okay? When a
Oh,
girl walked away, I said, see, you made the movie up in your head. So now, next time that happens again, how do you show up? How do
yeah.
you respond? Right? Um,
It's
so
fun.
yeah,
It's
I
funny.
don't
I
know if
feel
anybody
like
doesn't have
though
baggage.
we all do that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think some of us, I, listen, I can watch the same movie maybe two or three times. If it's The Wiz, okay, we gonna bring it up. I can keep watching that. But I'm the kind of person, I'm not into reruns. I don't want to keep watching this over and over. But there
Right.
are some people who have a movie on repeat in their
Mm-hmm.
head. How do
Mm-hmm.
you rewrite scenes for that movie? How do you
Yeah.
do that if you're stuck?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You got to realize that you're stuck.
Mm,
And so sometimes what that takes is your willingness and your openness, and it also depends on who you have around you. You know,
mm.
and that's why it goes back to Jam for me. She was an honest person. I mean, I
That she
trusted her to be
was.
truthful. You know what I mean? I trusted her to be truthful. And that wasn't present in my life. That's why I don't have a lot of female friends. I want more, right? But I want them to show up and be honest and be open and be truthful. And she was that for me. And so reframing those neural pathways in your brain takes you to have a good Judy that's going to say, hey, girl, your stuff stink.
We gonna need
And
you
it's
to
not
get
because of
the cracks and
somebody
cracks.
else, it's because of
Yes.
you.
That's so
It's
funny.
your
But
stuff.
all of that is connected for me. Like when you talk
Mhm.
about um needing those friends and wanting more female friends, I find that in doing these conversations that I've been doing, I am realizing more and more that you truly are only as strong as that sisterhood that you have
Mhm.
created around you. Now, I was
Yeah.
very guilty for a long time in believing that I like having friends, but I don't need anybody. It's just me and the
Mhm.
six girls in my head. That's all I need.
Mhm.
But as I got older, it's six
That's a
girls in
good
my head
title of
for
a
real.
book too. I
You know,
like that. Me, the six girls. Just keep that.
it's
I
true.
like
It's six
that.
girls in my head. They all have names, and boy, do they all have very distinct,
I love it.
separate personalities.
I
But
love it.
as I got older, I realized, and it was an aha moment for me. It was an aha
Mhm.
moment for me that I do need friends, and I
Mhm.
need a certain kind of group of sisters around
Yeah.
me. But I do find that as you get older, it becomes harder to find and cultivate those relationships. I think it
Yeah.
becomes more difficult because I think also as you are older, I would imagine you'd say your guard goes up more.
Mhm. I agree with that. And, you know, the journey for me was what you just said. It wasn't that I was short on having female energy around me, right? Uh, where I was short at was the kind of friends,
Mm.
right? So the journey for me was discovering who I was so that I could know who I needed,
Oh,
right?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
Um,
good one.
yeah,
Discovering who you are so you would know what you needed.
absolutely.
Wow, that's powerful. Because I
Absolutely.
think most of the time you don't know exactly what you need because you have
Yep.
not unpacked who you actually are. And
Absolutely.
by the way, not the person in the movie that
That's
you've
right.
written that plays in your
That's
head,
right.
but who you
That's right.
really are.
That's
Because
right.
that's when you'll know, well, who do I need as my co-star in
That's
this
right.
film? Because
That's
I,
right.
I actually thought I was the leading lady, and it turns out I'm the supporting actress, right? Like you,
Right.
some people
Right.
don't
And to
know
be
that.
honest about
You
that.
gotta be honest.
Be
Baby, you're
honest
not
about
ready to
that.
be the lead in this movie. I hate to tell you this, but tell me you can't grow into it. But the thing
That's
I
right.
love too about you and that I realized when we met on the via the last interview um is that I love the raw truth and honesty And because I've always been that kind of person, I'm the kind of person that I'll tell somebody in a minute, please tell me the truth about everything. If I
Mm-hmm.
stink, if something ain't right, if you don't like something I said, please skip the preamble. I don't need all of that.
Yes.
Just get
Right.
right
Get to
to
the
it and
point.
get to the point. Because ain't nobody got time to follow you
That's
all
right.
around the mulberry bush. Tell me
That's
what
right.
you want. Tell me what
That's
I
right.
did wrong. Tell me how I hurt your feelings, whatever, so I can
Yes.
fix it. Right?
Yes.
I feel
Yes.
like a lot of people don't understand that, the importance of it. It's not really about trying to be aggressive or, trying to, I don't know, be nasty. It really is.
Mm-mm.
We can have a much better relationship if
That's right.
we can save all of the frilly edges for later.
Yep.
It's like the crust
Absolutely.
on the cake. Okay, I know you want to eat
That's
that
right.
first, but let's just get to the heart of the matter.
That's right.
I think
That's
that,
right.
for me anyway, is the most important thing. What would you
Yeah.
say that the friends that are no longer, because I think we all grow and mature, right? So
Mm-hmm.
maybe the friends you had in college, you thought would last forever and it didn't. What would you say the friends that are no longer on the front row of your movie, what would they say about you?
I just had a conversation with one of those friends who are no longer on the front row.
Did they know they wasn't
I
on the
did.
front row?
Yes. Listen,
Shit.
when
They was
listen,
like, when did I get in the
I
balcony? Bitch, you've been in the balcony for 2 years. You didn't know?
I told them though. I
Oh, you
did.
told them. You
I
revoked their
did,
ticket.
Jasmine.
How
Listen,
does
and
that happen?
it wasn't a revoking of the ticket, but
Girl,
what I
no, it
did
was.
say to
You
them,
revoked it. You revoked it.
what
You've
I
been to
did
enough
say
shows in
was,
your life that if your ticket don't say A,
I just said
B,
the
or
show
C,
was
we're going to need you to
over.
go up top.
Right, the show was
What
just
you do?
over. That's all. The show was over. I
Well,
didn't
we didn't
revoke the
know.
ticket.
Could
The
have been an
show was just over.
encore. Could have been an encore. It's like, I'm not
No
leaving
encore.
yet. No
No
encore.
encore. No encore.
Well, first, before you
But I
tell me
was,
that, with
yeah.
blindly, tell me um, how they got to the point that they lost the all access pass, right?
Yeah.
And then how did you tell them I'm gonna need that pass back? And then you can still come to the show, but you're gonna be general admission. Like, how did all of that
Uh-huh.
go? I'm ready. I should have
Uh-huh.
brought some wine for this. I need some tequila for this part. But go on, girl, give it to me.
Liz, I had changed.
Oh,
It sounds like that old conversation with, the old boyfriend. It's not you,
it's
it's
me.
me.
Yeah.
Right? But it was true. It wasn't them, it was me. I had changed. I was different. I wasn't who I was. And I said to them, matter of fact, I had a vision board night, and they had come over. They were at my house, and we were doing our girlfriend supportive thing. And I said to them, I said, I have changed. My vision for myself has changed, and I'm gonna have new friends. I'm looking for
Oh, wait
new
a minute, wait a minute,
friends.
wait a minute, wait a minute.
I
I can
did.
only imagine. So
I
I'm
did.
here. I'm at the
I did.
party. I got my little board. I got my little
Mhm.
markers, all my little
I did.
cutouts. And you drop that on me. What
I
happens
did.
after that?
I mean, there was honest conversation about, where's that coming from? But, the truth of the matter was the friends that I had at that time, and if you read the books, a little snippet of this piece is in there. These were friends that I had in my church community, right? And
Mhm.
that was my Hayes years. When my church scandal took place, which was the best thing that happened to me, that haze was removed, and I saw people and myself and things different. And what I no longer wanted, Jasmine, were people around me who had haze over their eyes or who were pretending to be something that they didn't even want to be themselves. I no longer had the capacity for it. I didn't have the energy for it. And so for them, it was probably taken as Keisha is losing her mind.
Yeah.
She's out there, in the
Yeah.
world, kind of thing. I don't care. Take it however you will. Um,
But in
but
a
I just didn't
way,
have the
in in
capacity
in
for
in
it.
a way, you were losing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think in a strange way, I think
Mm-hmm.
unless you lose your mind, I
Yeah.
don't think you can ever really find your way. I know that sounds weird, but I think sometimes you have to lose your mind and do things
Yeah.
that other people don't understand. Hell, you may not understand, but I think that's
Yeah.
important because your mentality, the way you've always done things, the
Yeah.
way you've always processed things, the way you've always looked at things really is a mental
Yes.
thing. So I think sometimes in order to gain the freedom, come on, Jasmine, bring it back around.
Come on, Jasmine.
Sometimes in order to get that freedom you were talking about, you
That's
have,
good. That's
baby
right.
Fantasia said it best.
There you go.
Sometimes you got to lose to win
Lose
again.
your, that's right. That's right.
You better come on and let me speak. Girl, I'm so crazy. I know. I know. But that's what
Listen,
I love
and
about you
this is
too.
but
You
this
love
is
my
when you know
crazy.
that you're in the right place. This is when you know you're so my sister, my older sister, Kia loves her. My older sister is like my mom. Just very just listen, no filter, just
Yes.
honest. I remember I was having an event at our house and I had some new Judys who were around. Just like you, Jasmine, just not afraid to be who they are, just raw, right? And my sister came in and she came in dancing. Like there was an energy. She was like, "Oh, Keisha, what is this? And who are these new people?" And she was like, "I don't
Yeah.
like you." And she told them, she said, "I didn't even like her old friends." She said, "But I like y'all." Now
It's the
when your
honesty
sister
for me.
shows up, when
Listen,
your sister shows
that's
up,
what I'm talking
I'm
about.
telling you.
I
Yeah.
think there is too much time wasted. Who
It
said that
is.
youth is wasted on the young? And
Yeah.
it's true. I think after you've lived a little and then you realize, like for me, I think, I probably have more years behind me than I
Mm-hmm.
do in front of me. And I'm okay
Mm-hmm.
with that. But
Yeah.
what I'm not okay with is living in the same confinement that I lived in then. Because
Yeah.
now, I don't know about you, but I believe the older you get, the faster time begins to go. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, you know what? I'm going to come
I
in
agree.
dancing in every room because
Absolutely.
I don't know how much longer, baby, these knees gonna let me do
That's
that.
right.
So I'm
That's
going to
right.
make sure that when I am finally laid at my rest, everybody will always say, well, let me tell you something. It's a good thing she went when she did, because she didn't really have nothing left. Her knees were gone, her back was blown out, like everything. She used
That's
everything.
right.
Like
I
I'm that
love it.
person. If you think about it, for me, I want life to be like that roll of toothpaste.
Yeah.
You push and
Yeah.
push and squeeze and
Yeah.
squeeze and squeeze. You
Squeak.
like, I think it might be a little left in here. So let's
Yeah.
roll it up. I think there might be a little life in here. So let me get these scissors and cut the top
Yeah.
off and go.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I want. I want it to be
That's where I am.
completely empty.
Girl, that's me. I
Completely
tell people
empty.
all the time I want to that and that's my affair with when it is time for me to transition. I want to die empty. I don't want there to be anything left. I want people to be able to say she left it all out. There was nothing that restrained her and was holding her back. And that's again, with the young women that I get the opportunity to meet. You think about getting older and all the lessons that you learn, and you go, man, if I knew what I knew now, when I was, and I was bad then, but can
Baby.
you imagine?
Woo, let me tell you something. And not only can I imagine, because I spend my days now trying to make up for that.
Yes,
Girl, I have enjoyed
yes.
talking to you just like
Same
I
here.
knew I would.
Same
I
here.
think like I said, for me, this is now a continuation of conversations that I want to have with women, not just for one particular month, because I think there are so many amazing women out there
Yeah.
in my life that I've met, that I haven't, that I want to meet. And I will say this to your face, you are one of those women that I am so glad that I met. I
I
know
feel
that
the
after
same.
this, our connection is only going to get stronger, because now I'm going to
Yeah.
start blowing your phone up. Girl, I'm out here dancing in the street. You better come and get me.
I'm not coming to get you.
No,
Dad's
because
good.
you're
Just
going
be
to
careful.
already be
Don't lean
there.
over.
She's like, girl, look over. I'm over here too. We're going to be showing out together, honey. Woman to woman, me and you,
Absolutely.
Keisha.
I
Girl, thank
love
you
it. I'm
so
with
much.
you.
I wish you joy. I wish you inconceivable
Yeah.
joy, the kind that
Yeah.
you can't explain. There is no real definition for it. Um, I wish you abundance in
Yeah.
everything that you touch.
Yeah.
I wish you success. I wish you blessing on top of blessing on top of blessing on top of blessing. And I wish for you Megan Thee Stallion knees. Okay?
That part. That part.
That's the part that you need. If
That
you
part.
got that, everything else is extra.
That part.
I love you and
And
adore
with
you,
no
Keisha.
cliche. Ditto,
None.
ditto, ditto. I love you to life.
Girl, we gonna talk again soon. I promise.
Absolutely.
I know next time
Absolutely.
I have mimosas, you'll probably have mimosas. I don't know.
Exactly. I drink
I know
mimosas.
that's right. The problem is I just drink them too much. But we're gonna pray on that, Keisha. We're gonna pray, we're gonna lay that right here at the altar. That's it. We're gonna leave
I
that
love
right
it.
here. All right, Mama. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jazz.